Hello there and welcome back to another gluten-free and yeast-free baking video. How are we doing today? On this special Halloween edition, today we are going to be making gluten-free brain cupcakes. I saw Zoe and Mark make these on his channel a couple of years ago or last year, I can't quite remember, and I saw it on Pinterest and I thought, well, I've just got to do it. So, let's go! You will be needing the following equipment: scales, 12-hole muffin or cupcake tray, 12 cupcake cases, 2 piping bags, a large mixing bowl, you will be needing 2 of these, a cupcake corer, an apple corer or a small knife, a fork, 2 tablespoons just to get your mixture from your mixing bowl into your cupcake cases, a teaspoon handle, a cake tester, a skewer or a toothpick to see if your cupcakes are cooked, a palette knife. I've decided to go for an offset one so it isn't completely straight, it's slightly like that, some scissors, a bowl, a cooling rack, a spatula, an elastic band, a sieve, a small mixing bowl, a wooden spoon or an electric hand whisk, a tall glass and some spray oil. You will also be needing the following ingredients. For your cupcakes you will be needing 150 grams of butter softened at room temperature. I like to use lactose-free butter, 150 grams of caster sugar, 2 medium-sized eggs, you will only be needing the whites, 150 grams of gluten-free self-raising flour, some pink food colouring, and some raspberry jam. And for your icing you will be needing 150 grams of butter softened at room temperature. I like to use lactose-free butter, 480 grams of icing sugar sifted, and 130 grams of raspberries. Let's go! First things first, measure out all of your ingredients so that they're completely ready for you to use, and then preheat your oven to 180 degrees C on a conventional oven, 160 degrees C on a fan oven, or gas mark 4. After that, grab your cupcake tray and your cupcake cases. So to prepare our tin, all we are going to do is place our cupcake cases into our cupcake tray. Making sure not to have doubled up on any of them, because I have done that loads of times and it's just not helpful. So now place this off to the side until we're ready to bake. So first things first in actually making our cakes is to mix together the butter and the sugar. So I'm going to place all of the butter in one big go, scraping down the sides, and now sprinkling in our caster sugar. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Dong. Again, scraping down the sides to make sure it all gets in there. And now mix together until light and fluffy. Now that this is done, grab your egg whites. Now that we've got our egg whites, we're going to place them in one big go. Scraping down the sides as usual. Now what we're going to do is mix our mixture together until it is lovely and smooth with no lumps. This is really important, as I've said in every video so far, as if we don't do this there will be air pockets in our cakes, and I think mixing the mixture as much as we do makes the cakes light and fluffy anyway. So let's get on with it, shall we? Now grab your pink food colouring and your flour. So now the first thing we're going to do with these 2 ingredients is place our pink food colouring into the mixture. I have found personally that if you do the colouring now, that adding the flour won't make any difference to the colour you make in this particular batch now. So just make them as pink as you would like. I am going to do it a little bit at a time really, and then just add more depending on how the mixture's going. So let's mix this together and see how we get on. So this has gone nearly perfect, but what I'm going to do is just scrape down the sides of my mixing bowl so that as much of it changes colour as possible. And then I'm going to add a little bit more food dye, just a little bit. Food dye, food colouring. That'll do, I think. Mix that together and then we will begin adding our flour. So now that we've finished adding our food colouring until our desired colour, I have done it a nice baby pink, I would say. I am going to, mixing all the time, add a little bit of my flour at a time to the mixture until it is well combined. So I need you here. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is scrape down my flour bowl, just to make sure it all gets in there. By the way, this did lighten my flour a little, lighten my mixture a little bit, adding the flour. So, you know, not drastically. So just bear that in mind when you make yours. And now scraping down the sides of our mixing bowl. And now mix one final time for good luck. Now that this is all mixed together and looking fantastic, grab your cupcake tray, your tablespoons or whatever you're using to get your mixture into your cupcake cases, and your spray oil. So it is now time to place our mixture into our cupcake cases. How I'm going to do this, as I've had such bad luck with my ice cream scoop, so I'm going to do it with 2 tablespoons. What I'm going to do is get the cap of the spray oil, get my tablespoons ready with the mixture, give my cupcake case a quick spray, 1, 2, 3, and then quickly move the mixture into the cupcake case. So now that this is done, we are just going to give our cupcakes a little bit of a jiggle around to try and get them a little bit flatter, although do not worry too much as they will flatten out in the oven. We're now going to place our cupcakes into our preheated oven for 15 to 20 minutes until we insert a cake tester, a teaspoon handle, a skewer or a toothpick and they come out completely clean. And then we are going to take our tray out of the oven, placing it onto our cooling rack for 10 minutes, leaving the cupcakes in the tray. After that time, we are then going to take our cupcakes out of our tray, leaving them onto the cooling rack to cool completely. Now that your cupcakes are cooked out of the oven and have had plenty of time to cool, it is now time to grab your cupcake corer, your apple corer or your small knife, whatever you're using to take the middle out of your cupcake, your raspberry jam, your tall glass, your elastic band and your piping bag, along with a teaspoon or spoon just to get the mixture into your get your jam into your piping bag. Now that you've got everything, scissors, you need scissors, hold on. Honestly, if I had a brain, I'd be dangerous, right. So now that we've got everything, the first thing we're going to do is apple core. Take the core out of our cupcake, yeah. 1, 2, 3, out it comes. So now that we've cored our cupcake, we are now going to place our piping bag into our tall glass. The easiest way I find to do this is leaving a little bit of extra room at the bottom so that your jam doesn't go straight to the bottom of your piping bag. Just fold that up, place that into your tall glass. Wrap the edges of your piping bag around your glass and then using your elastic band, fasten that around the edge of your piping bag so that the piping bag doesn't just move around while you're adding the mixture, because, no, not the mixture, the jam, because that is a right pain. So now what we're going to do is open our jam. I'm only going to put enough in for 1 cupcake into here just to show you how to do it. So I reckon it's going to be about... I reckon about that. Get it off. Place that to one side. Now, removing your elastic band from the tall glass. Lifting up the piping bag. Moving the jam to the bottom of your, so it's all together, your piping bag, so it's all together. Twist it off. Now wrap your elastic band around your piping bag. I think I've picked too big of an elastic band around this, so don't make my mistake. Come on, love. Honestly, what am I doing? And now, putting that in the middle. Wait. Snip off the end of your piping bag. Your first piping bag, might I add. Oh, okay, calm down. And then just simply pipe it into the middle of your cupcake. A little bit more there. And there we go. So now that this is done, we are going to begin making our icing. So we will be needing our raspberries, our small mixing bowl and a fork. So now that you have completed adding your raspberry jam to your cupcakes, we are going to begin making the icing. And this is by adding all of our raspberries into our small mixing bowl. And now you can do this in a blender, but I don't currently have access to one. So I am just going to begin squashing these down until they are, well, as squashed as I can get them. You can do this with a potato masher as well, but again, I only have access to a fork. So make the most, make use of them what you have. So you kind of want this to go into a liquid as much as possible. Oh, I love that smell. Oh. It won't take too long either, mine's practically there. I'm just doing this to be slightly over the top, if I'm honest. Okay. Now that this is done, grab your sieve. Now that you've got your sieve, place your sieve onto your bowl. Tip all of your raspberries into the sieve. There we go, that should hold its weight. Actually, I'm just going to grab my spatula. Hold on a second. And now running your spatula around the bowl just to make sure it all gets in there, into your sieve. And now you want to start pressing your raspberries through the sieve until you only have seeds left in your sieve. Knew I should have picked a bigger bowl. Now, no more liquid seems to be coming out of this, so I'm just going to place these to one side. And now I'm going to grab my electric hand whisk or wooden spoon, my large mixing bowl, my butter and my icing sugar. So now that we've got our electric hand whisk, our butter and our icing sugar, we are going to begin by adding all of our butter into our mixing bowl. Now with the icing sugar, I'm going to follow the same principle as I did with the flour. I'm going to add a little bit at a time, mixing all the time to my mixing bowl until it is well combined. Don't worry if it seems a bit thick when you've finished, as the raspberry juice is going to fix that for us. So, move you here and move you out of the way for a minute. we've completed our first mix, we are just going to scrape down the sides of our icing sugar bowl. Place that to one side. And then we are going to scrape down the sides of our mixing bowl. Now you see what I mean about it being all thick. So now we are going to place in all of our raspberry juice, which will turn it a lovely pink colour, hence Brain Cupcakes. And it will also thin out the icing. And now I'm just going to mix one final time. Now that this is done, I'm going to grab my cupcake, which was filled with raspberry jam, a palette knife, my tool glass, my elastic band, and my extra piping bag. Now, just so you know, you can place this icing into the fridge if you think it's a bit runny, but to start with, just to do the palette knife part of our icing, we are just going to scoop some icing out of the bowl, place it onto our cupcake and flatten it out, just so it creates a base for us to be able to draw our brain on top. Now, personally, I think that that's a bit runny to form a shape. So I am going to place it into the fridge for 5 minutes, and after that time I will begin piping. So I actually placed my icing into the freezer for 10 minutes, and I remembered that I need scissors for this next part because, you know, I haven't done it already and would remember. So we are now going to place some of the icing into our piping bag. So to do this, same process as before. Open up our piping bag, bend the bit where the icing is going to come out, place that into your tool glass, spread the sides of the icing bag on your glass, wrap that around with an elastic band so it doesn't go everywhere, place some icing into your piping bag. Now you will do all of this, but I'm only doing one to show you how it's done. Now take the elastic band out from around the glass, squeeze your icing down to the bottom of your bag. Oh, what's happened here? There we go. Now wrap that around, wrap the top of the icing bag around and tie on your elastic band around the top of your piping bag, just so when you pipe it doesn't all go up over the top. Snip off the end, however thick you'd like it, and now squeeze, drawing a line all the way down the centre of your cupcake, sliding it off to either the right or the left and ending. Then from the top of your cupcake, go right to left on one side and repeat the same on the other side, all the way down to the end of your cupcake. There we go, and that's how it should look, and that's it. Do this with the remainder of your cupcakes and I will see you after that. And that is it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description, as I love them all and wouldn't put them there if I didn't, including the recipe for these lovely cakes and my shop where you'll be able to buy all the flour and equipment you will need for this recipe. If you do make these at home, don't forget to use the hashtag bakingwithvickiie, which I will put above me as there's so much room up there. Let me know in the comments of anything you'd like to see me make gluten or yeast free, as I do both. And finally, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more. I will see you next time. Bye!